everyone, I am Tara and I would like to welcome you back to my channel, Tara, Spirit Mother Teachings of Going Within. I put the Tara on so that people would know now that what have you. Today I'm talking about struggles when it comes to a sexual orientation. A lot of people struggle with that, okay, because there's a lot of stigmata with it, a lot of dogma, okay. And I've been noticing it a lot as myself being someone who can feel energy and can actually feel someone's inner feelings, because we all struggle with this stuff. Okay. And it usually starts when we are young children. Okay. Before I get started, I'm going to read from my little cards. I do it every time. As I said, some of these topics that I talk about, some may agree, some may not. Some may like and not like. Some may understand and some may not understand. And some may even say, well, where do you get your qualifications? Well, as I said before, I get my qualifications by experience, by observation, by speaking with other people and really hearing them, okay? Because it actually goes a long way and it helps you to understand people on a deeper level, opposed to just looking at the exterior of their body. You actually get a deeper level within that person because you allow yourself to understand them on a deeper level. Sometimes it's because you can understand them because you've experienced things yourself. Okay, so desatute eshamaki akuria esekuleberiara ukrie kui am akiata tikiote eseleberiara shkuleberiara tukui. Kim tukui. Suretate. Okay, I know this represents growth. Growth within your sexuality, growth within your spirituality, growth within your physical and mental health. A tree trunk the size of a man grows from a blade as thin as a hair. A tower 9 stories high is built from a small heap of earth. Okay? So as I just stated, it's all about the growth. Okay? And it doesn't matter what size, it starts somewhere. Okay? So when it comes to our sexual orientation, I am I just had somebody say, are you straight? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm straight, but I know that I'm connected with other people that I believe may be struggling with their own sexuality orientation. And they are struggling with the fact of coming out with it. And they're it's like they're in a denial. And it's a lot to do with what others are going to, usually it comes down to what others are going to think or feel, or what others are going to say. Okay. And as I stated before, it doesn't matter. Okay. Because if someone loves you, they're going to understand and they're going to accept you either way. Okay. It's a matter of you accepting yourself, accepting that part of you and knowing that it doesn't matter how you look out here, because what ends up happening is how you're feeling on the internal is what you bring out on the external. So if you are trying to cover your sexual identity, you will try to be more like how you look on the physical. And in a lot of cases, what ends up happening is overcompensating. Okay. When we're young, we experiment on like people usually experiment with other children, okay, because they're identifying their sexual identities and what have you, okay. And I know this topic is sensitive to some people, okay, and that's okay. And sometimes it's because they're trying to avoid that part of their life themselves. And we all like to live in denial, and we say about that other people do it, but we didn't do it. Okay. Sometimes, like when we're children, okay, how things are approached or how we end up growing up and looking at ourselves. Okay. So if like we're young and we're exploring, okay, and say a parent or someone comes along and you're exploring with the same sex and they see that and their reaction is a really bad reaction, okay, then that reflects on the child. So as the child grows, they're believing that they've done something wrong. And then as they get older, okay, especially like when they get more into their teens and like usually up to the age of 25, a lot of people are still trying to figure out their own sexuality. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't understand. And that's why, like, when people are saying about like what's happening and children, like people getting sex changes and what have you. And I said it before, a lot of it in a lot of ways are because that they feel that they have to look the part of what they're feeling because of the dogma, because of the stigmata. Like there's so much, like you hear, like if you're looking from a specific religious point of view, it's like, well, that's taboo, that's disgusting, like that's not natural. Well, who are you really to say what is natural and what's not? Okay, you're going by a book because, like, if you think about it, like, well, you don't have to think about it, okay, because the decision that somebody makes, if you're ignorant enough to say something to them about their sexuality, it's a matter of, you might want to have a look deeper into your own family, because maybe there's someone in your family whom you are suppressing because of your own ignorant, limited beliefs. And it's not fair to that person to be suppressing, because that's where a lot of mental health issues come from. Because we're being told that, no, you can't be, this is not right. This is wrong. But it's not. Why is, like, just because they can't produce children in the same way that somebody else does, there are people out there that don't keep their children, that give them up for adoption, and these people can go and adopt. But I'm back to the sexual orientation part of it, and that's a lot of where it comes from, where people are so suppressed, and then they go through a whole lifetime pretending to be something they're not, and they're extremely unhappy. And that's not fair at all. Because not only does it harm the person on a psychological level, but spiritual, physical, and like the mental part, the mental part of it, it is extremely hard on the person in the body, and then they become aggressive. They start saying, sometimes it's like they come out and it's, oh, you're like, you, they can come out and say you're a man hater or you're a feminist. Okay. Different things like that. They'll shoot down the gay culture because they're brought up believing that it's wrong, so they have to follow suit because of fear that if they go on the side, that what others will think. I know that a lot of people in relationships are struggling with this, because in some relationships, one partner is wondering, sometimes they're wondering, well, why are you no longer attracted to me? And then they won't even talk to you about it. So there's a lack of communication there, and it's a matter of figuring out, well, okay, what's going on here? Why don't they want to communicate? What are they trying to suppress within themselves? Why can't people just be honest and truthful? And it happens that they're not, because of the stigmata, because of the dogma. And I say, to heck with the dogma. That's that to me. That's it's like it's a branding. Like, we're going to brand it on you that you're not allowed to be this way, because it's not of God. Well, God is neither male nor female, and if God is experiencing oneself, then God would be experiencing everything as a whole. Because they'd have the female aspect, the feminine aspect, and the masculine aspect, the male aspect. And play different parts. And if you don't like what I have to say or what I'm saying, well, that's up to you. That's how you feel. But this is how I feel. And I'm allowed to feel this way, the same as you're allowed to feel your way. But I am going to say that if you are beating this into people's heads and ridiculing them and shaming them and treating them like they're less than you are, then you're friggin' ignorant, and you're not of the true loving God. Because the loving God loves the children, whether they're gay or straight. Gay or straight, okay? Because gay to me is sometimes you can be gay and straight at the same time, and they call it bisexual. You like both preferences. As I said before, I've been attracted to men and I've been attracted to women. But it's the part of, am I attracted to them as a physical body, or am I more attracted to the spirit energy that they carry? Because it's not so much the body that people are so muchly attracted to. And then, because of, like I said, because of society, people feel like they have to go mutilate their body to look the part in order to be accepted. And then you have ones that they just try to look the part because they want to roughshod over the opposite sex. Okay? Somebody just said, are you talking transgender males because they want to push their way in? Well, if they're trying to push their way in to a woman's washroom, then it's not, to me, it's not actually a feminine in a masculine body that wants to be able to appear to be a woman if they're trying to push a woman. And if they're saying that we'll beat you up if you don't let us in your washroom, I'm sorry, but that's a man. I just got asked, how do I feel about the washroom situation part of it? Well, how I feel is that there should be co-ed. There should be a co-ed washroom everywhere where people have the choice. You can go, a man can go in a men's washroom, a woman go in a women's washroom, or they can go into a co-ed, and like the family washrooms. And I know that there's a lot that has a lot of controversy there because of how some people are like just sometimes uncomfortable because their children are there. Okay. But that's where you are meant to be the one to use your own discretion, your own discernment. And this here sexual orientation and what have you, that is causing a lot of pain and suffering. Like people are actually taking their own lives because of it. And children are struggling with their own sexual orientation, and the way we approach it is what is really going to determine the mental health of our children. If we sit down and we talk to our children and ask them, like, say, hey, you know, like, okay, what was going through your thoughts when you wanted to experiment? What's going through your thoughts that's that you're feeling this way, opposed to like taking the kid and grabbing a hold of them and saying, no kid of mine is going to be a flaming, I'm going to say the word, don't take offense to it, a flaming faggot or a flaming fruit, because you're fucking ignorant if you say that to your kid, if you say that to anyone, because obviously people are struggling with their sexual orientation. And I can't stand the stigma of it. I can't stand the dogma of it. And then there's so much conflict because, like, if a man is with a woman, but the man is gay, then they're hating on that woman, or they're trying to keep that woman there because it keeps them from having to be honest. Okay, I had someone today say about health, peace, and happiness. Okay, health, peace, and happiness. What about honesty? Because with honesty, that's where health comes from. That's where peace comes from. And that's where happiness comes from. Because you're being honest with yourself. And it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. It's a hard pill to chew. Because we could be friggin' like in our, like some in 40s, 50s, 60s, what have you. And they're still wanting to come out. So they're living like some of them are many years in a relationship or a marriage. And neither person is happy because maybe one or the other is gay. So there's hostility there. There's like sometimes you do things, but the romance isn't there. The intimacy isn't there. And sex, what have you, it's not there. Or if it is, if the sex is there, it's not feeling like anything, right? Because you feel like it's just happening for the sake of happening, opposed to an actual feeling of love and intimacy, opposed to feeling that intimate connection between the two spirits. And I, like right now, I feel people trying to talk and what have you. And it's more the part of being honest with yourself, because when something like that happens, like you're not only like suppressing yourself and causing damage to yourself, but you're suppressing other people and causing damage to them, especially if the person just has that deep feeling that, you know, there's something not right here, or they're feeling like there's something wrong with them, when it's actually nothing wrong with them. And it's really nothing wrong with the other person, except for the fact there's no honesty there. You're not being honest with yourself. You're not being honest with other people. So not only are you holding yourself back physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but you're also holding back somebody who loves and cares about you very deeply and does not understand. And that's where conflict comes in. And a lot of it comes from the way we approach things with our children. And then sometimes it's like, it's usually like if the son is gay or what have you, it's usually like the masculine that gets irate. And then when the mother or the feminine doesn't like step in and say something to the masculine to defend the child, then there becomes a hatred there and anger with that opposite sex. Because then they're left thinking, well, why didn't you defend me? Because when this person told me that I hated men and that I was a feminist, well, I don't hate men and I'm not a feminist. Do I believe in equal? Yes, I do. I believe that as a spirit ourselves, that's where we need to have our oneness and understand both our own masculinity and our own femininity. And when you look at dogma and you look at stigmas that is put on society telling you it's wrong, and then we wonder why we have all this chaos with regards to it and anger, it's because we've created it and people don't want to look at that. Okay. As I stated many times, like I do a lot of going within and stuff comes to me. And it comes to me at different times. I wrote, like, I was laying in bed last night and I was like going to, like, getting ready to go to sleep and what have you. I'm laying there and all of a sudden something comes to my mind. And it's like, oh, well, I'll get it tomorrow. And then my angels and guides and ancestors and family and what have you are saying, like, no, write it down now. Write it down now. So I get up and I write it down as we live. It says, like, the way we look at it right now is we live in a cruel world, but it's only as cruel as we make it. And that's true. It is. Like, this is stuff that comes out of me as a channel, because everything has already been said. Everything has already been created. Okay? And I said that, like, it's a lot of things are a play on words. Okay? And like, live to me is live victorious evolution. Live in victorious evolution. And then people say, well, you turn that word around, you have the word evil. Well, it's only evil if you look at it that way, because to me, when you do it and you spell it the opposite way, it means evolve victoriously in love. But see, everybody wants to put a bad spin on everything. Because a dogma says that you need to believe that way. We're going to beat it into you. We're going to say, like, hey, people who are gay, kill them, beat them up. It's not right. It's not natural. Who the frig are you to say what's natural? Just because they're not having birth with children, the women can go and they can get artificial insemination. Gay male couples can go adopt. Who are you to friggin' say who can do what? And I don't care if you like me. You use a book to justify your ignorance. And then you say, in the name of God. What friggin' God are you looking to? Because it's not a loving God if you are shunning someone for something that is different, that you don't understand. Seriously. If you're doing this to your own children, shake your friggin' head. Because that's the problem with the world. You wonder why. We wonder why our children are the way they are. We wonder why the world is the way it is. We wonder why there's so much damn anger and hostility. Why gay people are being beat up because of our own damn ignorance. By going by a dogma, by going by a stigmata. Stop using your God as your way to say, oh, well, I can be ignorant because God says it's wrong. God didn't say it was wrong. A dogma said it was wrong. Did Jesus really say, or Yeshua say, that it was wrong? Because, well, it sounds to me like you're dealing with two separate entities. In some ways, you're dealing with Yeshua, who could be like someone's struggling with their sexual identity, and they're taking it out on the people. Because you're hearing a lot about stuff that's taking place in a church, which was actually the word of church was actually hijacked, because you're the church as yourself. You're the church, whether you want to believe that or not. You don't have to be in a building. This is your temple. And that's what Yeshua was telling everyone. But we want to go by a book that has been manipulated over time by people, something that works for their agenda. And it's usually the ones that are that way. They're gay, maybe they're gay themselves, and they're hiding that identity. So they're saying, like, kill them all because they don't want to face their own identity or orientation. And some may like, you don't like what I got to say? Well, oh well. C'est la vie, such is life. I know that my sexuality, I never felt shame that I was attracted to women or that I was attracted to men. I never felt shame for that. I did have someone in my family say, when I approached them and said, what would you do if I ever told you that I was with a woman? And they said, well, I'd disown you. And then later, I went back and I told them I was with a woman. And it was like, well, whatever turns you on. So it's about accepting and stop using a book, like I said, to justify our ignorances. There's truth there, and then there's manipulation. Because when you're stoning someone because of something that you know nothing about, or maybe, like I said, maybe you're in denial yourself and you want to play along because you don't want to be spotted. You don't want to go through what that person has been going through for their whole freaking life. You may think that you have a right to say something to somebody about that. If somebody is hurting children, then whoever's allowing that to happen, the mutilation, or putting the child through it, and the ones that are doing the work or surgery, they should be charged for child abuse because that child is too young. That child needs to grow up and be able to make that decision for themselves of their own sexuality, not you. And I don't care who you are. You have no right to make a choice for a child that is unable to speak for themselves. And you cannot manipulate that child into thinking that this is the way you are. Because some people, they have their children and they have they have a baby that is the sex they didn't want. So then they feel that they have the right to mutilate that child because, oh, it's my child. Well, no, you don't, because it's actually child abuse because you're inflicting unjust pain onto a child. So if somebody actually wanted to fight it in a court of law, you most definitely probably could, because it would fall under the criminal code. Because it becomes a crime against, it becomes, whether it's on a tiny scale or in like a huge scale, it's crimes against humanity because you're causing bodily harm to someone else. I think you already have the answer to that. You're just being confrontational. Tisika tutole shkleberia totoi. Pikiramat kututukuri. And a lot of it can, like a lot of the hatred towards women or the hatred towards men of the opposite sex or what have you, it is most likely, if not most definitely, the leading cause of what's happening in the world today. Because people are not able to accept their own sexual identity, sexual orientation, what have you. Because they're told, well, you're this gender, you're a woman, or you're a man. If you're a man, you're supposed to like women. If you're a woman, you're supposed to like men. Who are you to tell anybody who they're supposed to like and who they're not? And that's why a lot of this, it really bothers me, because it's hurting a lot of people, especially our children. And then they're growing up with a lot of hostility. And they're getting into relationships that they're not happy in, but they're just trying to make someone else happy or satisfy someone else's ignorance. Meanwhile, they're miserable as like whatever. I'm not telling you what you can and can't do. I'm telling you that hurting people in that manner is never justifiable. By freaking ridiculing people from being able to show who they truly are within themselves and not just on an exterior. No, a man, a physical man, cannot have a baby. But if it's a woman and they identify as a man, that's how they have a baby. Because they're identifying themselves as a man in a woman's body. But see, other people don't understand that aspect of it, because that's how the person feels internally. They feel like a man, but their physical body is a woman. So yes, in that sense, you can have a baby, but a physical man cannot have a baby, because if they could, I would love to see them push a baby out their penis. So when I see this and you see our children are suppressed from it, and they're saying, I want to go get hormonal shots, or I want to get my breast cut off. Don't do that. Be proud of who you are on the internal, and don't worry about how it looks on the external, because it's how you feel, and it doesn't matter how somebody else looks at your physical appearance for the way that you feel as a person, as your being within you. Don't go mutilate your body. Don't mutilate your kid's body. If you're a man, you want to wear a dress and don't worry about what somebody else says. But don't do it because you want to put it. Don't be because you want to push your way into a woman's washroom and say, oh, well, I'm a transgender and I'm going to push my way in and I'll beat you up to get in there. That's not being true. Or vice versa. It doesn't matter because everything works both ways. It's when it comes to like when you're trying to push something on someone. It's not about pushing something on someone. It's about accepting yourself and not worrying about what the other person thinks or says. Just it's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Maybe you're feeling that way for a reason. Maybe you're in denial of something. So when we suppress people, or we ridicule people, or make fun of people, do you know how they're feeling on the inside? Because how they feel on the inside is what you see on the exterior of that person, them and their surroundings. And if you are suppressing those people, then you really need to look at yourself. And like I said, like I really don't care if you like me for what I'm saying. Sometimes it's because the truth hurts. And where I get my qualifications is by experience and understanding people and not judging someone because of their sexual preference. Because in all honesty, their sexual preference, if it's causing pain on you, I don't mean in a sense of, oh, well, I just don't like it. If they are physically pushing themselves on you, then politely, like, tell them, I'm not interested. I just got some people don't listen to that. Well, if people don't listen to that, then it becomes more of a force thing. They're forcing it on you. And that's not right either. It's not right for you to force your beliefs on them and them to force their beliefs on you. It's not right either way, that in that sense. You can feel the way you feel about me. That's fine. But if you're feeling this way, maybe it's because you really need to have, maybe you have to have a look, or maybe you're in denial of something yourself and you got to justify your actions. Because it doesn't matter what age you are when you like finally accept yourself, whether you're straight, gay, bi, transgender, whatever. But it's not about inflicting on other people. And it's not about how others will if others will see you different. It's how do you see yourself? It's not about overpowering someone else or being dominant over someone else or saying to someone else, you have to accept me. It's not about whether or not they accept you. It's about, do you accept yourself? And if you're not accepting yourself, why are you not accepting yourself? Because of dogma and stigmata and what others will think. But why are you worried about what others are thinking? I just got that you don't want to lose your family. Well, if your family don't understand, then I'm going to say it, they're not really much of a family, are they? Because when family love each other, then they accept us for who we are. And they love us for who we are, whether it's with their beliefs or not. Have I ever struggled with my sexuality? Yes, I have. Because there were times where I felt like I just totally wanted to go gay. But that was only because I continued to go in the same kind of relationships. And then just the past few days, just the past day and a half, I've been looking and looking back at my relationships and realizing oh my gosh, the similarities. And it's beginning to make me wonder if those the men in those relationships were actually denying their own sexuality. Or whether they were wanting to explore their sexuality, but didn't know how to go about it, or couldn't talk to anybody about it because, oh, well, a man don't do that. And that's the upbringing of what happened. I know I look at the movie Pretty Little Liars, or not movie, the series Pretty Little Liars. I watched that series. And in it, it had a young boy, and he was dressing in dresses, and his father had him sent away to a mental institution. And the mother didn't do anything about it at the time, but she went and she later had a sex change done on the child so she could bring the child home. But when she brought the child home as a girl, she introduced to her kids this child as their female cousin. And that caused a lot, the sex change in that and being sent away. It caused a lot of psychological damage on this character, this person in the show. And it's a lot to do with not being accepted. And then you wonder why. It's because they're left wondering, well, why didn't you accept me? And then it's some run away. Some even look at the parent and they just have disdain for them, and they tell them that they hate them and everything like that. And it's because we're not sitting with our children. We're not actually talking to them and hearing them. We're acting like you are to be seen and not heard. You are to go by our rules. Our rules are right. You have no say as long as you're under my roof. And that's what is always said. As long as you're under my roof, you'll do this and you'll go by that. So how are our children supposed to grow up healthy, happy, and wise, and be able to live in the world and be able to accept themselves? It's our fault, whether some of us want to believe it or not. If you're not taking responsibility for the way your children are, and then you're saying it's just all of society, well, it starts in the home, and we're the ones, as the parents, that are supposed to be listening to listening to our children. Like our children will come home and say that, oh, well, this happened at school by the teacher or something like that. And you'll say, well, because then the teacher, you don't believe your children. Why are you not believing your children? They're not lying. They learn things from us and other people. And it's up to the parents to sit and talk with their children, not shun them and say, here, go play your game, go watch TV. I don't want to be bothered with you. Why'd you have your kids if you didn't want to be bothered with them? If you didn't want to sit down and talk with your kids and understand your kids. And I was looking, and there's a kid helpline with regards to their sexual identity. Why are our kids having to go and talk to someone else? And then you wonder what's going, you wonder, well, it's because you're sending them to someone else. And sometimes you're sending them off to predators. But you don't want to look at that. Because no parent wants to take blame. They just want to blame others. Well, this is what this book says. Instead of saying, hey, put the book aside and communicate with your children. Communicate with yourself, because if you're one of the ones that have gone through it yourself and you're in denial, we're the ones that set the example. And a lot of time, when you look around, what kind of example have we been setting? And that's not to throw shade. That's to point out truth. Truth that hurts, truth that we don't want to know about ourselves or even see about ourselves because, oh, we're perfect. We don't do that. You may not do it the same way as one other person, but maybe you're doing it in a different way, but you just don't realize it. And then we get mad because it says like schools are wanting to come in and teach this, but we're getting mad. But we're seeing our kids go through it, but we're not sitting down and talking with our kids. So where's the freaking malfunction in that one? Our kids are sitting in their room because they're afraid to talk to their parents because of how their parents might feel or what their parents might say. Because a lot of parents say, well, when I was growing up, in my day, this, in my day, that, I don't give a shit about your day. We're not in your day. I'm not in your time. Like, are we ever going to stop with that? There's so many different ways of working and helping through things, talking with one another. Instead of saying, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Go to your room. I don't want to hear it. I'm just putting out some truth. Because if my child come to me, I know that I would want to sit with them and talk. And I wouldn't, if they were having like gay tendencies, because it's just like they say gay or lesbian or what have you, but gay is like, to me, gay is gay. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're a man or a woman, it's gay. There's just different terms for it, which makes everything all the more confusing. It's like, hey, mom, I'm gay. Or I feel like I may be gay. Well, why? What makes you feel like you may be gay? So I was told that I'm here to help children. And the only way that somebody can really help the children is by getting through to parents. Yes, I am a parent. I just said if my child came to me, I'm not being rude. Sometimes we come across things and it surprises us, but it is up to the parent, is up to the adult to know how to approach something. And if I seen anything with my children, yes, I would and have gone and talked and asked. Because a lot of people, they will express their gayness, but then what they want to, they just kind of pretend that they're like joking around. But sometimes it could be because they're trying to see what others' reactions would be if they were actually gay. If they come out with the fact that they were gay. And it's not easy. And a lot of the time is they just stop. They don't want, like, the sex just stops. Everything just stops. They get in a relationship and it all stops. Makes for a damn good cover up. But yet others don't know what's going on behind the closed doors. Because somebody could be depriving someone of love and affection because they don't feel that way about, they don't feel attracted to that person. And then they just keep avoiding it. When the other person tries having a conversation with them, they get irate and they plug their ears. You're a freaking adult, really? Why don't you just have the conversation with the person? Because sometimes deep down, the other person, they know it, but they're just denying it themselves, that their partner could be gay. But see, sometimes, like, well, when you actually are able to verbalize it, then not only, like, it sets both people free from it. It sets both people free. Because then the person that is experiencing the neglect and stuff because their partner is gay, then the person realizes, like, okay, wait, it wasn't me like I was thinking or feeling. It was because they're gay. But instead of people being honest with one another, they leave the other person feeling like a piece of shit. Yes, I did. Yeah. Kitutore beriatoi. Shomerasko, Hibarai, Kurututu, Oh, yes, I did. Yes, because I said about the honesty, peace, and what have you. And oh shoot, someone said that to me today, and that's like, you got to have like, there's got to be honesty in order for there to be a healthy relationship, even a healthy person being honest with themselves. And with the honesty comes the health. And with health, you find peace and happiness. But that's the problem. Nobody wants to be honest with each other. They just want to lie to one another. And then when the other person feels the lie, and like what have you, then it creates an anger and it creates pain within both people. And the other person, they just want them to be honest. Because, like I said, deep down, the other person already knows. There's just still that disbelief attachment. And we go through thinking that it was us. And that's not fair. That's actually cruel. We don't want to be alone in some aspects, but we don't want to be honest with our partners, with our family. But most importantly, the hardest thing is being honest with yourself in that aspect. Because once you're honest with yourself, then you have to then it's like you got to come to the realization, like, okay, I have to accept myself. And sometimes that's even hard. That's a really hard pill to swallow. It's because people have eyes. They can see, they can feel. And sometimes it's, like I said, it's a denial. And it's not just a denial on one side, it can be a denial on both. So when it comes to our sexual orientation and stuff like that, that's really hard on the psyche. And I know there's a lot of people that can understand what I'm saying, because there's a lot of people that struggle with it. Like I said, because of a dogma, they may be part of a church that frowns on it, and they feel like if they come forward and be honest of their sexuality, then they're going to get kicked not only of the church, but their own family, because the church frowns upon it, and the family don't want to be kicked out of the church, so they'll kick you out of your family. Really, seriously. Don't you think there's something wrong with that? If a congregation or a group of people are saying, like, well, we frown upon this, so you got a child that's this way, so either you go or you kick your child out. I know there's a few religions like that where if you don't have the same beliefs that fit in with them, they'll either kick you out of the church, or they got to tell you that, like, that family member's got to go. You can't have nothing to do with them anymore. And people say that's of God. Are you, like, really? How much denial are you in? How did you get so hooked into that form of belief system where a belief comes before your own family? Because like I said, God does not pick and choose. God chooses everyone. What the heck happened there? I like my frequencies. My frequencies, my meditation, my crystals, my going within has helped me to realize a lot and come to understand myself and allow myself to let go of all the pain and all the beliefs that just don't seem right to me, that it is of God when we're being told that this is wrong. It's man that says it's wrong. And it's, like I said, sometimes it's because people don't want to come out because, well, it's taboo. It's the taboo in Pandora's box. You can't let that out. You are the church. You are the temple. You are the Pandora's box, and your beliefs are down here, and you're told you got to keep those beliefs. You can't move up and have different beliefs, not just one belief, but seeing things from different angles, understanding other people's beliefs, and why they like talk it. Why do you like ask it? Like, okay, because there's like, just because you believe one thing, it doesn't mean that it's right for everybody else. But if you're just believing one thing over and over, whatever works. But what works for you may not work for the next person. I know I want to understand other people's belief systems. I know where other people are coming from in some aspects because they grew up that way. Once in a while I go to church, but I go to church to see what's being said. And when I go and all I hear is about fear and fighting and killing, this person did that, that person did that. And it just keeps going over and over and over and over again. It's like, where's the peace learning? Where's the love learning? You're saying this religion killed that religion killed that religion. The way I look at it, every religion's killing each other. And where's the peace in that? And I'm not throwing shade on anyone's religion. Because if you really looked and you knew, you'd know that every religion comes back to the same thing. But see, we only look at what we want to see, or what we're told to see. How we're to behave. The 10 Commandments, that was morals. But it's pushed on you, and you're told about sin and stuff like that. Do you ever notice that the churches, like the church, not the big affiliation of it, the higher part of it, do you ever see how many like real top heavy sins that's going on within it? But we don't want to look at that. We just want to point fingers at just individuals. And I've already said it before, that sins, to me, actually means systems integrated into society. So it's programmed into us. But the 10 Commandments are actually morals. It's not that it's rules, it's morals. It's morals to live by. I come on and I do these videos and I'm truthful when it comes to this stuff. Have you? Okay, well, there you go. I guess you got your answer. And not being rude, not being ignorant. No, I haven't looked poorly on a gay person. But when I look at, like, I forget what it's called, drag queen or what have you. Like I had a friend back years ago, and he showed me him dressed as a woman. He was very feminine looking. And when there's this show about drag queens, I forget what it's called. And that irritates me because whenever I hear the advertisement for it, it's a lot of cutthroat. And that to me is not feminine. That's more of a dominating masculine attitude. The same as somebody saying, well, we're going to go into your bathroom. And if you don't let us in, we're going to beat you up. There's actual, genuine. And then there's ones that pose to force themselves on others, to force their agenda. And I'm not judging, because what I am saying is that we all need to go within ourselves. Because when that's happening, it's because that person has a lot of anger and hostility within themselves. And that hostility appears, like when that happens, it appears that there's a lot of hostility towards women. And that's very dangerous. And it's a matter of finding out where that person's seed lies. I already said, I get everything by my own experiences and by observing people and actually listening to people, actually connecting with people to understand. And it's not always easy. And I can understand that it's not easy for the person that's going through it themselves. Everybody likes to be heard and understood. And apparently you just wanted to be heard because you said that I wanted to be heard. So maybe you just wanted to have something to say. Well, if you're gay and you don't feel that way, well, that's how you feel. And like I said, because you feel one way doesn't mean that everybody feels the same way. And the same as with me. Just because I feel this way doesn't mean everybody feels the same way. It's the language of love. So I say take this how you want, what have you. This is the way I've been seeing it, the way I've been feeling it and experiencing things and what have you. And everyone's behavior on the exterior always has a reason from within of how they are how they feel from within sends out to the exterior, the physical body and physical surroundings. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to do my closing with a card. Excuse me. Where the determination is, the way can be found. So the first step is being honest with yourself. And after you're honest with yourself, then you will find a way to be honest with others. With that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing, ready to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, be your authentic self, be true to yourself, be true to others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Know that you are more powerful and you have more strength than what you can even comprehend. Go inside. Sit with yourself, be with yourself. Talk with yourself and allow yourself to bloom and flourish into the beautiful people, the beautiful angels you are. I love you all. Have a great night.